Headline after headline appears online. Siri fails again. Siri is still behind. Apple Intelligence delayed again. And yet, Apple insists that the future of the iPhone still depends on Siri, the same assistant people have been mocking for more than a decade. Let's explore why Siri sucks, why Apple struggled to fix it for so long, and whether their new strategy, partnering with Google, can finally help them beat the competition. To understand this properly, imagine this scenario. You're the VP of AI at Apple. You walk into Apple Park, a trillion-dollar spaceship filled with some of the smartest engineers on Earth. And your job is to resurrect a voice assistant that still feels like it's frozen in 2011. Before you even sit down, you're hit with the uncomfortable truth. Siri isn't just a little behind. It's behind by an entire generation of technology. The biggest reason Siri struggles is because it was built on a completely different philosophy. Siri was designed as a voice interface, not an intelligence. It didn't learn the way modern AI does. It didn't reason. It didn't adapt. Siri's core technology was a maze of handwritten rules and domain-specific modules. If you said anything outside what those modules expected, Siri simply couldn't understand you. And here's the twist. This wasn't a bug. It was by design. Apple insisted from day one that Siri should handle as much as possible on the device itself, not in the cloud. On-device processing protects privacy and feels fast, but it also forces Siri to run on very small models compared to cloud giants. Meanwhile, Google, Amazon, Meta, and later OpenAI built enormous cloud-based neural models that could grow, learn, and improve with scale. Siri stayed small, while others got huge. Even if Siri had the right vision, it faced a second challenge. Internally, Siri wasn't one system. It was many. Across Apple, Siri was split into 20 to 30 different teams. Speech recognition, natural language understanding, domain teams for every app, OS integration teams, hardware teams, UX teams. Everyone owned a piece of Siri, but no one owned the whole experience. Engineers who worked there described Siri's development as glacial. Another said, Siri was actually 50 smaller assistants stitched together. This is why Siri behaves differently in different apps. You aren't talking to one Siri, you're talking to a patchwork of them, and that makes fast improvement nearly impossible. Apple did try to fix Siri. They launched an ambitious internal project called Blackbird. The goal was to rebuild Siri from scratch. Modern architecture, unified intelligence, one assistant to rule them all. But Blackbird hit the same problems as the original Siri. The old codebase was too tangled. Teams resisted major architectural changes. Apple's culture prioritized stability over reinvention. By the time Blackbird delivered prototypes, the AI world had already moved far ahead. Blackbird was quietly shelved, and Siri continued limping forward. Then something happened that Apple did not expect. The world moved from simple voice assistants to general intelligence. ChatGPT appeared. Google launched Gemini. Anthropic released Claude. Meta pushed Llama models. Samsung announced Gauss. Suddenly, assistants weren't answering simple questions. They were rewriting emails, summarizing meetings, generating content, and reasoning across apps. Siri, in comparison, felt like a relic. It lacked memory. It lacked context. It lacked reasoning. It lacked the ability to do anything beyond narrow commands. The entire industry shifted from voice control to AI agents. Siri wasn't built to compete in that world. In 2024, Apple launched Apple Intelligence, a massive initiative to modernize Siri and introduce private, on-device AI across Apple devices. On paper, it sounded like the future. On-device models for privacy, secure cloud compute for heavy tasks, new rewriting tools, and a smarter Siri. But almost immediately, problems appeared. The on-device models were too small to compete with cloud giants. Complex reasoning lagged far behind GPT-4 and Gemini. Developers didn't get full access to the new Siri APIs. Many regions never received the new features. Users complained that Apple Intelligence felt more like a polished rewrite tool than true intelligence. Apple Intelligence didn't fail because Apple lacked talent. It failed because Apple tried to solve a cloud-scale problem using an on-device philosophy. Inside Apple, executives realized something crucial. If they didn't fix Siri quickly, they could lose the entire future of the smartphone. Voice assistants were no longer features. They were becoming the primary interface for daily life. So, Apple did something unprecedented. They reached out to Google. By early 2025, multiple reports confirmed that Apple was preparing to license Google's Gemini model, one of the most powerful AI systems in the world, to power the next generation of Siri. Think about what that means. Apple, a company famous for building everything in-house, was now considering outsourcing its intelligence to a competitor. So why does Gemini or ChatGPT feel so much smarter? Here's the technical truth. Siri was a small on-device model with limited memory, a narrow context window, legacy rule-based systems, fragmented architecture, constrained by iOS or macOS design priorities. Whereas Gemini or GPT had a trillion parameter scale, massive training data, long context reasoning, unified neural architecture, powerful cloud compute, and continuous improvement. Siri was built to answer predictable questions. Modern AI is built to reason in unpredictable situations. Siri wasn't designed for this new world, but the world changed anyway. Here's the part most people miss. Whoever controls the smartphone assistant controls the ecosystem. Assistants decide what apps you open, what services you use, what tasks you automate, what recommendations you follow, and what information you see. If Google's assistant becomes the best, Google becomes the brain of your iPhone. The assistant layer is the new OS, the new homepage, the new gatekeeper. So to fix this, Apple created a three-part plan. The first part is to license Gemini instant access to world-class reasoning, even if it means relying on a competitor for the short term. The second part is to build Apple's own trillion-parameter model. This is the long-term solution. Apple eventually wants to bring everything back in-house. And lastly, hybrid AI architecture. Simple queries run on device. Complex tasks run on Apple's secure private cloud compute. All encrypted, temporary, opaque even to Apple. This is Apple's biggest AI ambition ever. If Apple executes well, Siri will gain memory, context, reasoning abilities, multi-step planning, cross-app awareness, personalized routines, deep device integration, proactive suggestions, AI agent capabilities, and even a real personality. For the first time since 2011, Siri might actually become smart. But Apple could still fail. There are risks. Apple moves slowly. Competitors move fast. Apple won't train on personal data. Others will. Developers might prioritize Google or OpenAI first. Siri could become optional. Apple Intelligence rollout has been uneven worldwide. Many users still haven't used the new Siri at all. And public perception is brutal. Once people believe Siri sucks, it's hard to change that belief. Here's what could happen by 2028. Scenario A. Apple wins and Siri becomes the smartest on-device assistant. Apple leads the assistant economy. Developers flock to Siri apps. The entire ecosystem becomes AI first. Scenario B. Apple keeps up and Gemini powers the hardest tasks. Siri improves but doesn't surpass its rivals. Apple stays competitive but depends on partner AI. Scenario C. Apple loses. Users stop saying "Hey Siri" entirely. "Hey Gemini" becomes the default. The iPhone becomes premium hardware running someone else's intelligence. Apple keeps the device, but loses the future. Siri sucks today because it was designed for a world before large language models, before reasoning, before agents, before the intelligence layer became the center of computing. But Apple is not doomed. The company still has unmatched hardware, a powerful ecosystem, billions of loyal users, and the strongest privacy brand in the industry. If Apple successfully rebuilds Siri, the next decade will be defined by the iPhone again. If they fail, your next assistant may not be Siri, but your iPhone will still work. The only real question is, who will control the intelligence inside your phone?